Hello everybody and welcome back to Viking Explains. Now I'm joined here by my co-hosts Teddy, King Knox and Board Corpse. Hello everybody.
Hello.
Howdy.
I did my part.
Yes you did. You did your part. Alright, today, this is going to be a bit of a special episode. You've probably seen the title. So this is going to be about Iceland's Christmas tradition and the myth revolving around Christmas. All of those fun little tidbits and stories. Now then, I think we should just get right into it. Before I do though, can I ask, what do you guys know about Christmas, Iceland in general?
Nothing more than what you've told me.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, I know on the lead up to this you mentioned the Yule Lads. And I vaguely remember coming across that information a while ago. And isn't it something like there's 13 of them?
Mm.
And it's like you have to leave out some food or something for them, or they basically like cause mischief, like causing noises or nicking stuff sort of thing.
You're not wrong. Well,
It has been a while since I heard it.
right. Alright, so to start off, yes, we have 13 Santa Clauses. You might probably know them as Yule Lads. They have been portrayed somewhat in media, in popular media, Hollywood and that shit. So it shouldn't be too, you've probably at least heard the term Yule Lad. So, what exactly are they? And what's up with all this shit? What even is this shit? Now, in Western, I say Western, I mean like in American, specifically American and maybe UK Christmas story, I guess, you have Santa Claus, who lives in the North Pole with Miss Claus, right? And you have all the elves and whatnot in the North Pole working for him. It works a little bit differently here. Just a tiny bit, just a tad. Alright, Teddy. I see that you're going to be in the audience for this one. That's fine. So to start, we have 13 Santa Clauses, or Yule Lads. They are not human. What are they? Now, in Icelandic folklore and myths, or mythos, we have a lot of non-mortal races. You know, we have humans, us, that's the only mortals really. Then we have the hidden people. We have the elves, we have the dwarves, we have all of those things. We have the trolls, a lot of trolls. So technically, because we have different types of trolls here in Iceland, technically that is what the Yule Lads are, the Santa Clauses. They are trolls, of the race of trolls. Now they don't look any too dissimilar to humans. They're about human size, and they have all the normal amount of human limbs and so on. But they are technically of the race of trolls. And instead of living in the North Pole, they live in Iceland's, at least locally, most famous mountain. The mountain that oversees the capital city, Reykjavik. And that mountain is called Esja, or the Esja. I'll spell it out here. not that it would make any difference, but this is the name of the mountain, and of course, like I said, with the words in Icelandic being bent, you would say the Esjan with an N, but yeah, that is the name of the mountain. I'm actually looking at it right now. It is right outside my window, because it's not a relatively tall mountain. I mean, most mountains in Iceland aren't too tall, but at least we do have mountains, and this is one of the most famous ones in here. It is the one that everyone in the capital see every day, and you know, enough of that. So, these creatures, these Yule Lads, they live inside Esjan, and they live with their mother, and their father, and their cat. Technically, they also live with their hundreds of siblings, but they're not important, and barely are mentioned in the mythos. So, you have the mother of the Santa Clauses, the mother of the Yule Lads, which is called Grýla. Grýla. And this being is a monster. I mean, she just looks like a hag, an old hag, a witch, really. Something akin to Baba Yaga from Russia. You know, a very ugly hag. And she is famous for eating children, and that is what she does. Come Christmas time, Grýla goes around and eats children, eats naughty children. And her husband, the Yule Lad's father, he is called Leppalúði, which is it's kind of what that means specifically. It's kind of unimportant, but it's kind of funny. It's a little joke. But Leppalúði is... Let me just write that right here. Leppalúði. So he is known for he's known for nothing. He's literally known for doing nothing. He sits in his cave in Esjan all day, all year, and every single day, and does absolutely nothing but complain. He's a bum, basically. Like he's the pathetic bum, bad father figure. You would, what comes to mind when I say bum? That's kind of what it is, right? So he doesn't work.
Yeah, the lays about dad who's just sitting at home, not doing anything, not helping the household.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't even help in the household, Not that there's much householding work to do, but he does absolutely nothing. And so, originally, these 13 Yule Lads, according to the legends, they came to town, and we just call it coming to town when they come out of Esjan and into civilization. So technically, when I say they're in town or they're coming to town, I just mean they're coming to the civilization. That's all over the country, even a small fishing village in bumfuck nowhere, in some fringes of the island here. So to town just basically means in households, right? So traditionally, and hell, even up until this day, these Yule Lads, they come one by one to town, to the towns and city in droves. They come one by one because there's 13 of them. The first one comes 13 days before Christmas. And Christmas technically here is the 24th, not the 25th. So the first one comes. I forget. I should have remembered by now. I'm way too old to not remember, but I don't remember. It's what, the 11th? Right, that's I need to do some math. I don't know. 11th, right?
Oh wait, do they appear on the 24th day, or do they appear? Does the last one appear on the 23rd or the 24th?
The last one appears on the 24th.
Okay, so on Christmas Day itself,
yeah.
not Christmas Eve.
Yeah, not on Christmas. Technically, the 25th is called Christmas Day. The 24th is called, like the big day. Like it's the day, right? 23rd we call Þorláksmessa, and that is a day where you traditionally put up the tree. You have a Christmas tree, and you decorate it at that day. You eat what do you call them? Stingrays. We have stingray stew here. It smells absolutely awful, and that's kind of what you do on the 23rd. And the 24th is the day. 24th is the big day. And 25th is called Christmas Day, but that's less important day for us here. I will get into that later.
I believe that's similar in some other countries. That Christmas Eve is like more the focus of celebration than Christmas Day itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, technically we do have somewhat of a tradition on the 24th. Like a lot of the things that are done there are a lot of things that are done on the 24th. And I will get into that later. But for now, 13th December is the first night that the first Yule Lad comes to town. And they all bear names, and each and every one of them has a thing, like a shtick, you know. For example, the first one that comes into town, he's known for stealing your sheep.
Is there a way to stop that, or is it just like
no?
He comes in and he'll do it?
You really can't stop them. To be honest, that's just kind of what happens. And he's called Stakkestur, meaning what is the opposite of flexible?
Rigid?
Rigid. Yeah, kind of like a rigid pole. Yeah, that's kind of the translation, because he has both of his feet are wooden. He has two wooden feet, kind of like a pirate, but on both the legs, and he has a walking stick, and he walks really funny. That's why he's called that. And he sucks the milk from sheep, and he steals some sheep as well. So he is the first one, and they all come during the night. So traditionally, yes, you go to sleep on the you go to sleep on the 11th. Yes, on the eve of the 13th, he comes to town and does his thing. And the one after that, he is called Giljagur, and he was known for hiding in barns, and he actually liked to. So when you milk a cow or a sheep, you have like a foam on top of the milk. It's kind of like the fat and the milk itself. It kind of separates. And this guy, he specifically liked the foam. And that's what he stole. He stole big buckets of those. And it's super weird. I know, all of them have very specific things, right? The third one is my favorite. I can't go through all of them if you want.
I feel like that's what we're here for.
Alright, so the third one, he's my favorite. He's always been my favorite. He's a very, very short guy. He's called Stúfur, which literally means a little, like a little tit, or a little, what do you call it, like a little, just a really short guy. And he was known for stealing pans, big pans, and eating the leftovers that were burnt to crisp, to that residue of food that's always burnt on the pan. Yeah, he eats those. Yep, he eats those, and he steals the pans itself. If you're noticing a trend by now, yeah, all of them like to eat.
I mean, so far it sounds like you have some traumatized, like, dairy farmers for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, back in those days, pretty much everyone had to have some form of cattle or farming. So, so the fourth one, it's called Þvörusleikir. And Þvörusleikir, that literally means the one who licks the spoons. And it's like the specific spoons, those wooden spoons. Like those big wooden spoons that you use to cook with. Yeah. He's very skinny. He's a very skinny guy. He's rather tall. And he loved licking those wooden spoons. And he was actually, during the night they come into town. But the thing is, they don't go back to Esjan. They stay in town and kind of like gather.
So does it like accumulate over time?
Yeah.
Like the Yule Lad presence grows over the 13 nights?
Absolutely. So yeah, over those nights you will notice more and more of shit happening. For example, you will notice loss of pots and pans, big loss of milk everywhere because of this. This guy, he's the fourth one. He's like I say, he likes licking the wooden spoons, and he would steal the spoons when the one cooking wasn't looking. And literally, like when you're cooking food or dinner or something, he's hiding in the house. And then he steals the wooden spoons to lick them later on. The fifth one is called Pottaskevil, meaning the one who licks pots.
Yep, I heard the pot, and I was like, yeah, probably that.
Yep. Pottaskevil or Pottasleikir. Sleikir is a more modern term of licking. And he would basically, deep clean any pot with his tongue.
So is there any kinship between those two, or rivalry? Because I feel like they're both going to be in the kitchen, both cleaning, in a sense.
Not necessarily in the same house every time, at any given time, but yeah, they're both rivals and they like each other, and that just goes for all of them. Like all of them, they can kind of like, have this rivalry, kind of like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? But at the same time, they're all,
I was just going to say they're siblings, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's reason enough.
Yeah. Like there's no specific story that I know of, at least that focuses on their relationship. There probably should be. And maybe there is one, but I haven't heard it. So one can just assume kind of like their personalities, but other than that, they're just siblings. So yeah, the fifth one, he's the one who licks pots, and he likes to stay in the pots. So he's a bit of a small guy as well, and he likes to climb into the pots and pans, the dirty pots and pans. And lick them clean. So then there's Askasleikir, which kind of is the same thing. I'm trying to figure out. It's not exactly a pot. It's like a wooden kind of barrel thingy with a top on it. How do you kind of like? like Pandora's box, the box itself, it would be that, right? Because it's not a pot specifically. Like it's kind of a wooden jar.
Oh, almost like a wooden version of a Tupperware pot.
Yeah, and that's actually a prevalent thing. And that actually goes from the time where we still kept food in those things, because that's one way to ferment. That's one way to just storage food in general. It had a lot of different aspects to it, or different uses. And this guy, today he would have a very bad time because nobody uses these things anymore. But he liked to, again, lick those things. And he's kind of a strange one because he likes to hide under the beds of people. And specifically, he would take those containers that were laid out for the pets. Like you would pour milk into them and give them to your cat or your dog or something. Don't do that, by the way, today. Just a little heads up. But in those days, and he would then at night crawl from underneath people's beds and lick the food meant for your pets. And yeah, it's kind of where what his thing is.
I feel like he has the worst reputation so far.
Oh,
I feel like
no.
as soon as you're I mean, so far.
So
crawling
far.
from underneath a bed.
Yeah.
Crawling from underneath a bed, that's minus points for me at least.
Yeah, because that's kind of creepy. But then again, none of these Yule Lads were actually, like, they weren't precisely benevolent, but they weren't malevolent either. Like, none of them actively tried to hurt anyone. Like, I wouldn't want to cross them. Like, I wouldn't want to actually meet any one of them back in those days, but at the same time, they probably wouldn't do anything.
So when you call them Yule Lads.
Yeah.
Obviously, lads is like the English word.
Right.
Is that like a direct translation? Because obviously when you're saying like lads, you're talking about like young. In general, when you're using lads, it can be in like the sort of mischievous, almost like a kind of like a harmless hooligan sort of thing.
Yeah, that's
Sort of the same translation?
in the sense of being hooligans, yes, but not in the sense of being young. All of them have beards and they're all, like, very old. They're all just, they're none of them are, this is actually something that I've also seen in media. Whenever Hollywood, and yes, I'll just keep saying Hollywood for the sake of convenience. Whenever Hollywood actually manages to, like, actually fucking bothers to portray these things, these Yule Lads, they will take the definition of lad and basically turn them into like boys or dwarves or something, like goblins running around. That's not what they are. They are human sized. They are human sized and very old. They're very flexible and very, cartoony, but they're still, like, all of them, at least most of them, have beards. So you said the sixth one was a deal breaker for you. Well, let me introduce Mr. 7. His name is Hurðaskellir, meaning the one who shuts the door. Yeah, that's legit.
Okay, that sounds kind of ominous so far.
Yeah, he thwacks the doors into the doorframe, like shuts them with a very loud bang during the deep of night and wakes up people. And that's kind of what he does. He's a big troublemaker. He's always super loud, and he can even try to wake people up by shouting. And he's usually like carries pots and pans on his belt that like make a clinging sound when he walks and stuff like that. He's a very loud person, and that's kind of his thing. He's the prankster. I mean, they are all technically pranksters, but I mean, still kind of not, because most of them just kind of want to eat. Yeah, so that one was my brother's favorite, actually. The third one was my favorite. This one was my brother's favorite. So out of the 13, we are going to number 8. So the 8th one, his name is Skyr, and he's a big fella. He's a really large and strong fella, and he is. Oh yeah, the name it basically translates to the one who like drinks skyr. And for those who don't know, skyr is an Icelandic food. It's yogurt-esque. It's not technically yogurt because we have a yogurt here, but skyr, it's kind of like an Icelandic version of it. There can be many different types of it, especially today. You have like a bunch of different companies producing skyr and such, but the original skyr, it's very sour. You would, if you had, add sugar, maybe honey into it. Honestly, homemade skyr is great. I really love it. Haven't had one for years though. But homemade skyr is very good, especially with added sugar. You literally add sugar into it. But unsugared and pure skyr, it's what some people crave, and that goes for this guy as well. This guy, he is very strong, very big looking fella, and he loves skyr. He would search for skyr barrels. That's where we would create and store skyr. So he would open up unopened skyr barrels and just eat all of that. So yeah, he's very. I at least like in my headcanon, I portray him as like this very big silent type, like rather creepy. If you encountered him in the dead of night, he's just standing over a big barrel of skyr and eating it and just staring at you. So yeah, again, you're probably noticing a trend. All of these guys just kind of like want to eat, and they really like dairy products. So far we haven't encountered anyone who predominantly likes meat, but we'll get there. So, the 9th Santa Claus. Well, you asked me what the translation was, and we call them, the Santa Clauses. Jólasveinn. Jól meaning, Yule or Christmas, and Sveinn is just a man, a boy or a lad, a man, a bachelor. It's just what that's just kind of what it is. So we would call, Mr. Santa Claus, actual Santa Claus, Saint Nick, we would call him the same name as we call these guys. And we still have him. I mean, that's more of a modern thing, but I grew up hearing about and knowing about the Yule Lads just as I did knowing about Santa Claus. And that was always kind of clashing ideology. That was weird for me. That's kind of strange for a lot of kids here. But yeah. So, the 9th one is called Bjúga, meaning the one who, grabs Bjúga. And Bjúga, or Bjúga, is a form of a big sausage. Like a very big sausage.
Yeah, I do vaguely remember that. I remember when I said, I can't quite remember what his deal was, but nicking sausage.
So, laugh if you want, but yeah, that's kind of what it is. It's It is you know what meatloaf is, yeah? It's just kind of like it's kind of unprocessed, but still at the same time it's processed. It's just a very large sausage. It's not like human-sized, but it may have been in the past. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, he's always depicted as eating like a massive human-sized sausage, but I doubt that's actually a thing, because, you know, that's just kind of been... So what it is a very particular type of sausage, and it's traditionally eaten with potatoes and white gravy. It is... I guess you would call it a gravy. We call it uppstúr. It's just a white sauce. It's very strange. It's hot. It's supposed to be hot, heated. It's dairy based. It's cream based. And yes, laugh if we want. As children, we made many jokes of that, putting the potatoes on each side of the sausage and putting the gravy all over it. Haha, hilarious. So yeah, that's what Bjúga is, and he would eat those, which is I would say it's one of the worst Yule Lad, because that's a very big crime, because back in those days, specifically, you know, food was very precious, and these are a very big source of food, and that fucker, he would just eat all the food.
I was gonna say, like, after hearing like the tally so far, was this almost seen as like a wave of like potential famine? Because like they all want your food.
Yeah. I mean, see, it helps that most of them just eat the leftovers, you know, and or steal from your pets, right? But then you get people like this guy who just, a full-sized Bjúga, a full-sized big sausage. That's a problem. So he was very flexible. He kind of swings from the big kitchens and the big barns, like from the rooftops, kind of like Spider-Man, I guess. If anyone knows parkour, is that guy. He's very flexible, and because we would hang the sausages from the roof and down, you know, kind of like in those old cartoons you see where the sausages kind of look like intestines because they're all linked together. Yeah, it's that basically. And he would steal a bunch of those big belt-looking things, you know, those sausages linked together. He would steal those and eat them on the roof. And actually, like right now, I have one source open here in front of me, and it says, it's kind of funny. It says, and due to the fact that the world modernized, he had to basically live with it that we were making less and less of those types of sausages. Sad for him. And that's kind of true, because we don't make nearly as much sausage as we did. It kind of looks like kidneys, actually, like big kidneys.
Is it like almost sort of a bit like the sort of chunky salami sort of thing, like the sort of wrapped?
Yes.
Just like a wrapped sort of thing.
Yes, kind of like that. It's not eaten as that, because it's usually eaten boiled. Whereas salami is eaten in many different other ways. But you wouldn't boil salami. But yeah, these things they kind of look like kidneys, I think, and they're really big. Anyway, so number 10, we're almost there. Number 10 is called Gluggagægir, and it means the one who peers or peeks through windows. And can you guess what his thing is?
I think he might be potentially my new least favourite.
yeah, he's kind of a menace in the sense of like he likes to stare in through the windows. Like that's just what he does. He just stares in through the windows, and he often he tries to get in through the windows.
Okay, he's definitely my least favorite now.
Yeah, he doesn't just stay outside. Usually he does. Like if you, in the dead of night, you wake up and you look through the window and you see a very eerie-looking guy with a big beard, with a massive beard. Like all of them have beards. Like all of them have very different styles, like weird fucking styles of beards. But this guy just has a very normal, well, traditionally like scraggly beard, like big unkempt thing, like a dead rat on his face, and he's very creepy, and he just stares at you.
So was that something that sort of scared you when you were little? So I imagine that would like be quite spooky for like the little kid.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like all of them fucking scared the living crap out of me, at least as they were back then. Because that's kind of a thing that I'm going to get into in a minute. That they aren't, like, they're still alive, but they're not technically doing what they are known for. So, yeah, this guy, he just, what does he do once he's inside? I don't know. Nobody knows. Probably nothing. He's just a creep. He's just a pervert. He just likes watching people sleep, and he just likes being in the vicinity of people, I guess.
He's starting to kind of sound like he'd just act like a paralysis demon. Just sort of stand at the foot of your bed.
Yes, and he doesn't actually... Yeah. Those things actually scare the fuck out of me, because, like, my friend actually has sleep paralysis, and the way she's described it to me is just... Because I have a very vivid imagination. Like, I might have something called hyperphantasia, and just thinking about that shit, I can immediately, like just see that thing in front of me, like, and that scares the
Christmas
crap out of me. Oh, I could not imagine having sleep paralysis. I don't think I could make it. I'm sorry, that's just, no.
Oh yeah, it's a sort of thing that can make you scared to go to sleep.
Yeah, like Freddy Krueger, but somehow worse, because at least Freddy Krueger, yeah, he toys with you, but then you're just dead, you know, then he just finally fucking ends you. Anyway, this took a dark turn.
I mean, this Yule lad, yeah, kinda terrifying.
Yeah. He's very terrifying. So the 11th Yule lad, he's called Gáttaþefur. That means the one who smells through the kind of like corridors, I think. And that's kind of his thing, in case you didn't know. He's got a massive nose, like big nose, and he smells things. That's kind of what he does. He smells the Christmas food, and then all the food actually, and everything. In fact, he can smell food all the way up to Iceland, the mountain. And yeah, he's got a massive nose. It says here that he smells the smell of leaf bread. Leaf bread is is something that we do here. It's a traditional. It's kind of like, imagine like the thinnest pancake in the world, but it's not actually a pancake, because like it's like a cracker, kind of like a cracker, in the sense of it's like brittle, but it's just like, it's boiled in fat, kind of like a snack, kind of like a what do you call them? A chip, a potatoes chip, but it's not actually a potato chip. Hello. initial response.
Hey Leon, hey Corpse, hey King.
Hey man, we are joined here by our friend Initial Response, coming late to the party.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I'm kind of uncultured.
Nah, that's fine. That's fine. Hey, no, you're civilized. You arrive fashionably late.
That's a great insult on my house and honor.
That's yeah.
I just heard the choice clip of "It's good for killing" coming from it.
Yep. Me too. I heard that, and I was like, "What the fuck? What is that?"
It's like, did I hear that?
Oh Jesus. There's a little bit of a tangent, but yeah. So we have these leaf bread. It's called Laufabrauð, meaning leaf bread, I guess. And yeah, so those are very extremely thin types of cracker, I think.
Is it almost like a like crisped up tortilla bread sort of thing?
Yeah.
Like just thinner.
Yeah. It's actually, that's a great way to explain. Like
So
it is.
So is that like traditionally with something else, like some sort of preserves or like dip sort of stuff, or?
Butter. Some people eat it with butter. Some people eat it with other things. I will get into that all later. But just know that it's very good. It's very fatty, but it's super thin, and it's there's no spice in it at all. It's unspiced. Anyway, so yeah, the 11th one is called Gáttaþefur, and he's got a big nose, and that's just what he does. He has a good sense of smell. That's all there is to him. So, the 12th Santa Claus, or the 12th Yule Lad that we have, he's called Kjötkrókur, meaning the one that hooks meat. And he is, well, krókur meaning a hook, and kjöt is Norse word for kjöt, meat, which is an Icelandic word for meat. Like I said, Icelandic and Norse is basically the same thing. And so he is known for having a big meat hook, like a meat hook almost big as a spear, right? And he is the one that goes on the rooftops of houses and big farmsteads. And I said farmsteads, isn't that's a building, right?
That's more like a type of estate rather than a specific building, I'd say.
Oh, I mean,
Your farmstead would be like, you'd have like a farmhouse, which would be like the place where you live, and then like a barn, and a farmstead would be everything encapsulating that sort of area.
Right. Then I mean a barn, or like where you would hang up meat to dry. Remember when I talked about the Bjúga? Yeah.
Yes. So is it like how people have like smoke? Well, not quite like smoke sheds, but that sort of thing of like larders sort of thing, like dedicated store buildings.
Yeah, and that's actually a big thing here. There's a big culture to smoke the meat that we have here. That's a big thing. So yeah, he has a big meat hook, and he is known for going on rooftops and hooking the meat from the roofs from the inside through the the chimney. His favorite type of meat is called Hangikjöt, which translates to hanging meat. But that's a type of smoked...
Hold on, are you trying to tell me that Santa Claus prefers smoked meat over cookies?
So,
one of them does.
Yeah, one of them does. Like I say, a little fashionably late. But yeah, we're talking about the Icelandic Yule Lads, the 13 of them. And this one absolutely prefers smoked meat. And yeah, Hangikjöt, it's a type of smoked meat, which is called hanging meat. And
Is that? Oh, sorry. Is that from any particular animal, or is it just like the general dried?
It is lamb. It is lamb, and it is so good. If you have not tried Hangikjöt, you have to try Hangikjöt. Like,
I'm afraid I don't think anybody here has.
Like you can buy that as like a topping for like your bread, like sliced hangikjöt, but you can also buy like a big piece of it. That's like the real hangikjöt is like a big old just a leg of lamb that's been dried and smoked. It's not super dry. It's not like actually jerky, but we also have that. I'll talk about that later. But yeah,
I thought that was referred to as mutton, though, like the leg of a goat.
Yeah,
well, that's just the meat type. It's a bit like beef is from cow.
Yeah, and like venison is from deer, like wild game or deer. So it is mutton or that, yeah, and it's super great. Like again, I will speak more about that later. For now, yeah, that is his choice type of meat that he likes to steal, and he's stealing from the kitchen chimney. So,
hey, if this is going on YouTube, try to sound more excited about it.
I'm not exactly a public speaker, my guy, so I'm just trying to not be super
But you're
nervous.
not in public, you're in Discord. That's not public.
Yeah, that's a good point. Have you ever tried to just not be nervous? Oh, great, I'll do that. Noted. Hey man, are
What
you
I
afraid
like
of
to do
heights?
to not be nervous is immediately make an ass of myself, and then it can only go up from there, you know?
I mean, yeah, I mean, of course, like, are you afraid of heights? Are you afraid of spiders? Just don't.
I mean, it's also the fact that when you know something's being recorded, it's like this layer of like self-consciousness. Like, oh yeah, this is now a performance.
Yeah, it is. And I guess I sound a little bit more like a teacher than I do podcaster. I don't fucking know.
I mean, I feel like that's appropriate for the content format because it's a long-form audio thing, so it's not meant to be high energy constantly.
Yeah, I guess. Alright. So the last Yule Lad, the 13th Yule Lad, he is he's a very tall and very slender man. He's a very, very slim guy. His name is Kertasníkir, and that translates to the one who steals candles. Or at least, like, maybe not. I mean, it is stealing, but it's kind of like nipping, I guess. Or when you're just grabbing something really quickly, that's a thing, right? What's that called?
Oh, so you're doing like the whole thing of like
Snitch.
just nipping the wick between the thumb and finger sort of thing.
Yeah, like a really quick form of picking something up, like. And well, that's at least what he's called, the one who does that to candles. But in essence, it's stealing. So he's a very slender-looking guy, a very tall man, and he steals candles. He loves a very specific kind of candles, and he loves eating them. He eats candles. Specifically, candles made from tólk, which is an Icelandic word for it's a fat, because that's what they used to do back in the day. It's animal fat. That's what candles were made out of instead of wax. Which is why they were technically edible. I mean, just about as edible as leather is. It's not really, but it's technically edible. Yeah, Teddy. You love your candles on your toast? Can't get enough. I mean, if you haven't, like, we still use tólk candles here in Iceland on, like, Christmas and New Year's Eve. And that's also the form of funeral candles, like the big fat ones, like the ones that look like a tuna can. It's just like a really big, round, thick candles. So yeah, they're still used. It's impossible to blow them out. They're like outdoor big candles, and they're made of talc, which. So yeah, if you're unfamiliar with it, it has a very particular smell to it. So yeah, he loves to eat candles, and he's also kind of a pyromaniac, not in the sense of like he likes to set things on fire, more like he adores the fire itself. Like he just loves staring at the flame. It's beautiful to him, and he licks and eats candles, and he steals candles. And that's it. That is the lot of the 13 Yule Lads. So, the story goes... Wait, before that, do you guys have anything to...
So, what is the rule on them being seen? Because of course, like the classic thing when you're a wee little lad, your own lad, is of course you're told like, oh, if you don't go to sleep, Santa won't come. Is that the sort of the similar thing with the Yule Lads, or is it like what's the rules on? Because I imagine there would be kids who would like either want to see them or be too scared to sleep and then like want to like keep watch. Is there like anything about that?
Right, but that comes later. Like not later now, but I mean later in history, and that's my very bad segue into into the story. So yeah, so the story goes is that these guys are the Yule Lads, and one by one they come into town, and the first one comes on the eve of the 11th December. So he's in town at the 13th, and then the second one at the 14th, and so on. And the last one comes to town during the 14th. And then, when they're all in town, Christmas officially begins. In Iceland, Christmas begins officially at precisely 6 o'clock, or 18, if you're normal and you use what they call military clock, at 18 or 6 o'clock p.m. on the 24th December. That is when Christmas technically starts, and it's technically doesn't end until the 7th January, which is called the 13th. It's literally called, it's a holiday, it's a red day, and it's called the 13th. Oh, and in case you don't know what a red day is, it's basically a holiday that is, you know, you're not working, school's out, or if you're working, you get extra pay. That's what a red day means. And actually, no, the 13th isn't a red day, I don't think. I remember being at school in the 13th. Anyway, so the 6th of January is called the 13th because that's officially when Christmas ends. And the reason for that is because on the 24th of December, that is when all of them are in civilization. All of them are in the village, the town, the city, the whatever. And on the 25th, that's when the first one, who's been here for 13 days, he leaves. The first one leaves on the 25th, and then the second one leaves on the 26th, and so on. So the last one to leave, the 13th Yule Lad, he leaves from civilization back to the mountain of Asia on the 6th of January, which is why it's called the 13th. And fun fact, that is actually the last legal day where you can blow fireworks. Like, you can't legally, technically, use fireworks after the 13th. Because, like, here, there's a big fireworks culture about... Sorry?
I was just going to say, are fireworks mainly associated with, like, Christmas with you, then?
With New Year's Eve, but they start to sell it, like, early on.
Yeah, because we don't have so much strict rules in the UK, and of course we have a different holiday which has got fireworks.
Right. You don't have an Independence Day, do you?
No, but we have Guy Fawkes Night.
Oh, of course, duh.
Because
That
for
seems
some
kind
reason-
of. That seems kind of satirical and brutal. The
Yeah,
guy blew up, didn't he? No, he didn't. No, he got tortured.
The man himself, Guy Fawkes, attempted to blow up Parliament, and
Right.
then we celebrate that by lighting fireworks for some reason.
Yeah, you're using the explosive power that he couldn't. He failed to blow up Parliament, didn't he?
Yeah, got caught in the act.
I haven't actually seen V for Vendetta, but I've heard it's a fine movie. Anyway.
Hold on, I have one
bit of a
quick
side
question.
tangent.
One quick question before the background noise copyrights you.
Alright.
Isn't Iceland's like involvement in Christmas and stuff what gave Saint Nicholas his relevancy in being the Protestant saint of prostitutes?
I have not heard that before. What?
Really? I thought it was Iceland.
What?
Iceland that kind of gave him that title.
What? Wait, no, I need to look that up. Wait. Saint
Here, I can Google it for you if you want.
Nick,
Saint Nick is a Protestant saint of prostitutes, children, unmarried people, and a couple other things.
Yeah, but what does that have
Why
to do
did they
with...
bundle children into that?
I don't know. Apparently children are unmarried, so therefore they are prostitutes. It's the church, don't question it.
Anyway, yeah, so on the 24th of December, the Christmas Eve day is when they're all in town. All of the Yule Lads are here, and then they start to leave one by one. So today they are no longer mischievous. They are no longer what they're known for. So the first guy doesn't actually steal milk, the last guy doesn't actually steal candles, and so on. They no longer do that. And in traditional, technically they are all they're all clad in very old school kind of clothing, very colorful. Today they're all known for dressing in the same traditional, but the same classic Santa Claus uniform in height and
So is
stature.
that Santa Claus uniform the same as like it is in America, where it's all like red and white, and
Yeah.
you got like the hat with the little bell on it?
Yeah. But maybe not the belt, but like the fluffy bits. So yeah, that's how they're dressing today. And because of the fact that they're all different in size and stature, it never actually clicked for me that, oh, Santa Claus is supposed to be fat, because sometimes you would see them here in the town. Actually, during the holidays, you would see a bunch of the Yule Lads, a bunch of the Santa Clauses, and a lot of them were just very skinny. And that doesn't register with you until like later on. Like, oh, that's why it didn't. That's why I didn't find it weird at the time, because I'm familiar with the every kind of Santa Claus. So yeah, they're all dressing in classical Santa clothes, and the way we do it now is that during the 13th, like the eve of the 11th. Your child goes to sleep, a kid goes to sleep, and wakes up on the 13th, and he will have gotten a visit from the first Santa Claus, from the first Santa. The way we do it now is we have a shoe. The kid puts one of his shoe, probably a shoe that he's not currently using, and he puts it into the windowsill, like the window ledge, like into the window, right? There's always a shoe in the window of every kid's room, and when he wakes up, he has gotten a visit from Santa, whichever one that may be, depending on what day it is. And in that shoe, he has received a gift. And that gift can be anything. It's a small gift, like anything from like candy to some toy or something.
Oh, so it's, yeah, I don't know if you have them in Iceland, but we have advent calendars. It almost sounds a bit similar to that.
I'm not sure entirely.
So, like the advent calendar is basically, it's like a almost like the size of just like a normal like A4 sheet of paper. It's like, and it's got like multiple doors in it, and then behind each door is a piece of chocolate, and you have that leading up to from December 1st up to the 24 days. Yeah, it's a bit like that, but it's in a shorter time period with more diversity in what you get.
Yeah, I thought that was also like a purely Icelandic thing, to have like a chocolate calendar. That's what we have here now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we call them advent calendars.
Advent calendars. Yes, we absolutely have those. And you open. You have to find like the corresponding number with what day it is, and you open.
Surprisingly difficult sometimes.
Yeah, right. And you open up, and it's like a tiny little piece of chocolate. Yeah. Alright, that's awesome that you guys have that too. So that probably tells me that that's not an Icelandic thing, and we probably that integrated with our culture more likely than you guys took it from us.
Yeah, I'm curious now to see. I'll see if I can find out
Yeah,
where it came from.
yeah, that's very interesting. Huh? That's cool. That's really cool.
I was gonna say, because we also have like the 12 days of Christmas, because we have like classic Christmas sort of carol song over here.
Right.
And I believe that might. I'm trying to remember when. So I think that starts like on the 13th as a countdown to Christmas. So I think that's like another thing which is almost sort of like a parallel.
Like the song?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have that?
I mean, yeah, but not in like probably I'm not too familiar with it. But wait, do you guys do the sock over the chimney, like over the fireplace?
Yeah, the stocking.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
don't
so
have
traditionally,
that.
yeah, traditionally over here, or at least I'm not sure this is like universal between all families, but you have like your stocking, which will be like not like literal stock, but like a shock shaped like sack, effectively.
Yeah.
And then you have like what you call like stocking stuffers, which are like sort of small gifts. So it'll be like sort of stuff like small chocolates and sort of like more like it'll be like a care package of much smaller, cheaper gifts, sort of thing.
Yeah. That's kind of that is the same thing as the shoe here. Only we don't have the stocking over the fireplace. We have the shoe in the window.
What kind of shoe is it? Is it like made out of hide or leather?
No. It's just any shoe the child has. Like preferably one that they're not using during the day. At least, in my case, it was usually just a sneaker or something, because I didn't use that during the winters.
I'm gonna start putting Tim's on my fireplace.
No, it's not fireplace, but in the windowsill.
Oh, okay, the windowsill.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, and
I never understood the fireplace thing, because my fireplace was always very small.
Not everyone has a fireplace, you know?
No, especially not nowadays.
Yeah.
So, seeing as it's in the windowsill, is it sort of done a bit like with Christmas decorations, where it's almost like it's meant to be seen from outside, sort of thing?
Yes and no. I mean, we do have window decorations. So, like, we have window decorations. We have a star, which is there's a light bulb inside the star, and like it can be from metal or plastic or whatever. And that's a big thing here, to have a star in the window. It's about the size of trying to find something universal here. It's about the size of your head, maybe, like, and yeah, that's a big thing here. And also the it used to be candles, but now it's just like light bulb thingy. It kind of looks like a stap, like a pyramid with steps in it. That's less of a purely Icelandic thing, and that's just more of a Nordic thing, more of a Scandinavian thing, to have these things. And what is it called? It's called something. Wait.
Well, while he does that, Corpse, do you have any like Christmas traditions or anything that you follow with your family?
Well, for the most part, it's not really going to be any different from what you have. As I said, we sort of have. It would be like sort of wake up morning and we do like the Christmas stocking. It's like almost like your pre-presents. It's like almost like pre-drinking. It's like you have your like little presents as like a starter sort of thing. Then after that, it's like morning presents of like just everything under the tree. Then you have your Christmas like lunch. And then after that, it was just sort of like a relaxed day, just hanging out with the family. Apart from that, we weren't sort of major into like any sort of big traditions. I mean, as I got older, when I got to drinking age, it was a trip down to the pub with mostly my dad, and that was like quite a nice drinking sort of atmosphere.
I think my favorite tradition is how much eggnog can you steal from Dad before he notices? And the answer was always all of it.
Mm.
I don't think I've actually ever drank eggnog. It's not really that big a thing over here. I know it is like in the
my dad
States.
used to put rum in his eggnog, and so I would steal it to get drunk. So back in like middle school, maybe?
So here is a picture of what I was talking about, kind of like the pyramid steps thing.
We've had some of those. I've seen those in the UK as well.
Yeah, that's a big thing here. And we also have the Christmas
That almost
star.
looks like Hanukkah.
Yeah,
the
kind
candles.
of. Yeah, kind of looks like the Jewish something Hanukkah.
I'm not entirely sure what they refer to the candles as, but yeah, it does remind me a lot of Hanukkah with all the candles.
Me too. And here are below that is a star, one of the stars that I was talking about. It doesn't always look like that, but you know, it just to have a star in your window is a big thing here.
We didn't so much have lighting elements in the ones over here, but no, like that sort of like hanging decoration is quite common.
Oh yeah, but of course we have all kinds of different decorations here, but specifically to windows, this is what you will see everywhere: stars and candle pyramid thingies. That's kind of like the Christmas spirit. Also like the light posts. Every light post here outside is usually outfitted with some decoration or the other. So that's fun. So yeah, the Santa Clauses, they just give you gifts, tiny little gifts in your shoe when they come to town. We haven't actually talked about the Santa Claus's parents as much as I'd like. So you have, with your permission, I will go for it.
Yeah, I feel like we got a bit of a taste of what they were.
Right?
Of course,
I
the father.
think I missed that part.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've been thinking about prostitutes, so...
That's not very festive, man.
That's not very
Prostitutes are super festive. How dare ye?
Well, actually, that's fair.
It's literally summertime. This whole thing isn't festive, okay? I'm just here because I like you guys.
No.
I mean, this is how festive the episode is. It's transcended the calendar.
Yeah.
You can never transcend the calendar.
Actually, speaking of the calendar, yeah, we have the chocolate calendar, like you were mentioning, Corpse, but we also have a calendar candle. So there's a candle with the December days from 1 to 24, and that's always where it stops, even though there are 31 days there.
So it's like the candle with the numbers written all the way down the candle.
Yeah, from 1 to 24, and then you have to burn through them.
Yeah, we have that over here, but I don't think it's like super common sort of thing.
Oh.
Like some people will have it, some people won't. Like I've never really had one in my household, but I remember during primary school, which is the young school.
Right.
We had one of those in the classroom.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's more of a family thing here. Like a lot of us have. Like it is not uncommon. In fact, it is very common to have it. Like I don't do it now. I'm an adult and I live not with my parents, and I don't have a family, so I don't do it. But if I were to have some youngings running around the house, then yeah, of course I would. So we have those, and the chocolate calendars. They're from 1 to 24. They don't start at like 13.
Yeah, exactly. Same here as well.
Yeah. So that's fun. The parents of the Yule Lads, the parents of the Santa Clauses. Like I mentioned before, they're called Grýla and Leppalúði. Grýla being the mother, the one that eats children. So if you've been particularly naughty, Grýla will come and get you and eat you. She comes to town, and that just starts whenever. To be honest, that doesn't have to start specifically on the 13th. I mean, usually it's like the 1st of December, but parents would like to tell their children that it's kind of all year round, kind of thing. So Grýla kind of like takes notice of how good you've been throughout the entire year, and then kind of as Christmas comes, she comes from the mountain of Asia and puts all the naughty children in her big sack that she's carrying on her back and brings them back to Asia in her little cave there. Massive cave there. And puts them all in a big pot and cooks them alive and eats them. That is how the stories are. And so she knows. Like, she knows if you've been good or bad. Technically, she doesn't care. She really does not care if you've been good or bad. She will eat you nonetheless. But the reason why she prefers naughty children is because it's less hassle. It's kind of a taste thing, I guess. So, yeah, she eats naughty children. But if you were to cross her on the streets as a child, no matter how good or bad you are, she doesn't care. But, in general, it's better to be a good kid. So Grýla, she's just the worst. Like I said, you can like her to the Russian Baba Yaga or like the American witches or such.
Also, like the principle of like this punishing, child snatching sort of figure is quite similar to sort of a European folklore Krampus.
Yeah.
I believe he had much less lethal intent and was much more sort of about scaring children rather than devouring.
That depends on where from what providence you're taking that story from. Because like Krampus, like German Krampus, my goodness, you're just not only is the kid going to die, but the entire family is going to die. Sometimes, depending on the stories.
Well, I suppose to be fair, he is typically depicted as having like a pretty devilish sort of visage, cloven hooves, horns, the whole whole 9 yards.
Epitome of evil.
Child abuse at its finest. Be good or we're all gonna kill ourselves.
Anyway. So, yeah, anyway. going back to Grýla, yeah, that's kind of what Grýla is. She is depicted as human. I mean, she's not human. None of them are human. They're all trolls, technically. Sudden race of trolls. But they are human-like. So she's just depicted as a big hag, like a very big hag. Always like with a big hunchback. She's kind of like hunchbacked or like hunched over, and always with like a big.
Does she ride anything like a broom or like a cauldron or anything like that?
No, she. They all walk, but you're almost expecting her to ride a broom because that's just take your typical cartoon witch, and that's kind of her,
I ain't gonna lie, if somebody told me a story like that as a child, I would kind of want to roll the dice.
Really?
I could probably outrun this bitch.
It's not a fact of you can outrun her as much as she'll get to you when you're sleeping. And she always knows where you are. So anyway, Grýla, by the lore, by the folklore, she's dead. How that came to pass is it depends on the story. Like there are some songs about it. There's some different stories. Like I've heard two versions. One version is like the children kind of rebelled against her and killed her. And another story goes like that all the children of Iceland, they're just that good and that nice that she never had any good children to eat. And that's actually one of the things that we used to tell our children here is that if you're nice, if you're good, then Grýla won't get to eat, and if she never eats anyone, she will eventually die. So that's kind of the theory goes, well, at least like technically today, that's what happened. The children, they were all just so innocent and so nice that she eventually got starved to death. And so that's a thing. and again, there's this other version where like the children just kind of like in her sack, they rebelled against her and killed her. There's a song about that and all, like a children's song about that. So that's Grýla. So what about Leppalúði? Well, him, technically, the story goes that him being such a bum, such an absolute pathetic little shit, his wife being dead, that means he doesn't get to eat because he's not going anywhere and he's not doing anything. He's like, he'd rather starve to death than actually contribute anything. And that's exactly what happened. When she died, he followed suit shortly after because she was his source of food.
So do the songs reflect his death in any particular way? Because of course, like when the hag that's eating children dies, that's a good thing.
Right.
But when it's the bum in the mountain, was that like a good thing, or is it just like?
Oh, it is a good thing because he eats children as well. Like he's not necessarily contributing anything, but he's still evil. He's just super lazy. He doesn't really come to the story as much as anyone else. Like hell, the cat is more famous than him. Yeah, we have a Christmas cat. That is the pet of Grýla and Leppalúði. In the family cat of the Yule Lads. Yes, Jólakötturinn. Meaning the Christmas cat, or Yule cat. And so the cat itself, he's actually way more popular and famous. The thing about him is that he also, guess what? He eats children.
I felt like he was going to be either really innocent or not at all.
Yeah, no, you know what? There's just a theme. That's just kind of like either something's bad or something's good, or it eats children. And the cat is very specific in the way that the rule goes, and yes, there's a rule. So the rule goes: if a child and sometimes adult, the cat also eats adults. If you have not gotten before Christmas or during Christmas, and that's like the 24th when we all open our gifts and everything. If you don't get before or during Christmas, specifically a new set of clothes, like clothing, like a new sweater or something. If you don't get new clothes or a set of cards, like a card game or playing cards, a deck of cards, like that was the original intention, a deck of cards. It just translates to a game, so it can be anything from like a tabletop or anything, right? But if you don't get either of those two things before Christmas, up until during Christmas, then during Christmas, that cat will eat you. That cat will sniff you out, and that cat will eat you. And I always thought of the cat as like a small, little, normal-sized house cat. No, this is bigger than a person. This cat is like the size of a wolf, and those things are fucking huge. And the cat is an all-black cat, sometimes depicted with like white paws. But yeah, the Christmas cat is a very creepy looking creature, and that cat will eat you.
So is it literally just like a big house cat then?
Yeah. It doesn't have any other features than like a house cat.
I'm almost imagining sort of like this sort of distorted design that you sometimes see in the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. That sort of
kind of.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Kind of like the artistry has usually depicted him as like a very distorted, kind of like. Actually, Ronnie just put in the comments. Yeah, that's one iteration. He's always super ugly. That's always like he's super like distorted. But by and large, it is a normal cat. Like it's not like a tiger or something. It is just a massive, the size of a wolf, big black house cat. And the rule goes, if you haven't gotten a new deck of cards or any new article of clothing before Christmas, he will eat you. And that's the lot. The cat, I think, is still alive according to the lore. There's at least not, as far as I can remember, there's not a death of him. There might be. You know what? Let me Google that real quick. Is the cat dead? Jólakötturinn döður? Let's see. Oh, the University of Iceland has an answer. Let's see. Grýla is dead. Yes, we know that. Leppalúði. Oh, interesting. Apparently, in the earlier renditions of the folklore, Grýla had at least 3 husbands. The first one was named Gustur, or Gusti, I guess, but Gustur, and Grýla ate him, so he's dead. The second one was called Bóli, and the third was Leppalúði. Huh. So, lol, they say here that Grýla was one of the first ones to be known as, I don't even know how to translate that, but basically, whenever like your partner gets too old for your style, you immediately ditch them and want a younger one. That thing, that fucking shitty thing that some people do. And apparently she was one of the first ones to know having done that. apparently, according to some parchments we have found from the 17th century. Huh. Let's see. Yeah, overall, the siblings of the Yule Lads. You remember in the beginning where I said they were technically trolls, and they had like technically like hundreds of siblings. By if I'm reading this correctly, about 80 of them are known, like named. There's about 80 of them. Huh. Grýla really likes to have sex. That's just, Yep. Let's see.
Well, the husband would be a bit more appreciative. Maybe contribute something to the household after that much.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
So are the rest of them just sort of... Are they associated with anything, do you know? Like any other holidays or any other...
Not that I know of, to be honest. And I can't find anything to indicate that the cat is dead.
I mean, surely it'd have to die 9 times over.
Oof. Get it?
Hey man, I'm just applying solid logic.
Like, the oldest renditions we have from Grýla and the Yule Lads, at least the first renditions of Grýla, is over 800 years old. Huh. So that's...
But then again, it's like Saint Nick or Father Christmas has become like way more refined in recent years.
Yeah. I mean, he has bigger lore now and everything. And I had no idea she had more than one husband. But again, that was earlier renditions. I don't know if again, it's all fiction, and you could take technically what is canon and what isn't. It's all head canon, because it's all equally as much fiction. It just depends on what you like more. Oh yeah, I'm sorry to say that, kids, but it's fiction. At least the Grýla, don't worry about that. Santa won't let anything happen to you. What fucking kid would be listening to this? Why am I saying this?
I don't know. Also, I don't know why you're apologizing to them. To me, it sounds like being told the Yule Lads and the associated parents aren't real is probably a good thing, really, ain't it?
Because they're good today. They've changed their hearts, and they give you gifts now and everything.
Oh yeah, I suppose. But it's like,
but yeah,
knowing their past.
Yeah, but still, at the same time, like the fact remains that like we've been swearing and cursing, and there's been a lot of adult talk. I don't think any kid would have fucking sat through that. So yeah, no, fuck you, Santa ain't real. Anyway.
That is real though, so I hope you get the deck of cards.
What is real? The cat.
The cat.
Oh yeah. yeah.
There must have been, for some kids, there must have been a sting of betrayal when the other parent got them some clothes or some cards.
Like, I remember when I was a kid, and I didn't get, like, specifically, like, before Christmas, like, a pair of socks or something. And, like, I remember being so afraid and, like, so disappointed. I remember Mom just saying, "Oh, don't be that way," like, stop your whining. Like, the cat isn't, I don't remember if, like, she's like, the cat isn't real, or if, like, the cat is dead or something. Like, I don't know, I was like 8. So...
I would also imagine there would be some parents who'd like to tease the kids by waiting for relatives to give them said gifts.
Yeah. I mean, technically, not too... I mean, I don't know of too many families that take this super seriously today. Like, I don't know, I kind of have to ask around my friends or something, like, did you take this to heart? Like, everybody took Grýla seriously. Like, nobody wanted that fucking old hack to break into your house, kidnap you, and then eat you. But not a lot, and a lot of people are afraid of the cat, myself included. But that's still like the whole rules around that, like, oh, you have to get this or that, you know, or oh, you have to do this or that, or the thing will come and kill you and eat you. That was less so. It was more just like innate fear, like more just like built-in fear, and less to do with like, oh, I have to do this, I have to be this, I have to get that. Actually, you know about the whole thing, the whole tradition of getting a coal in your sock or your stocking if you've been a bad kid.
Yeah, that's like the sort of classic Santa treatment, isn't it?
Yeah, we have a version of that in our shoe in the windowsill. So if you've been or are being a bit of a brat or a prick, you will get a certain thing in your shoe, but it's not coal. You get one guess what it is.
I'm guessing it smells bad.
No, I mean that would just stink up the entire apartment.
I'm at a loss. What is it?
It's a potato.
Oh.
Yeah. You get a potato from the corresponding Santa that is in town. Like they're all omniscient apparently, and they all know how you've been behaving.
I think, to be fair, like when I was growing up, it never was like you'll get coal. It was just like, well, Santa won't bring you anything.
Right? Yeah. Well, yeah. Here it's just a potato. I remember one time when I got a potato. It was like a big potato. It wasn't like a small. It doesn't specify. It can be any kind of potato you want. In my case, I mean, I did get a few potatoes throughout my childhood, but I remember one time I got a baked potato, like a baked potato, but it was raw.
I was gonna say, do you think it'd be like proportional? So if you get like a sweet potato, you've only been like a little bit bad.
Like there's a scale, a gradient of potatoes.
It's like one year you're really bad, and there's a whole like burlap sack of potatoes like on top of your shoe. It's like, Jesus Christ, kid, what did you do?
Holy crap! I mean, hey, that's feeding the entire family for a month. Like what? Oh my god, that would be amazing.
Well, so if like there's a famine and your family's starving, you get your kids to commit crimes, and you get like a surplus of potatoes at the end of the year.
Oh my god, that's probably what happened to the Irish, isn't it?
Well, that's more so a problem of not enough potato.
Yeah, just be bad. Oh my god. Oh, that was great. But nah, it doesn't specify what kind of potato. So like, I remember one time I got a baked potato, but it was a raw potato. And I didn't, like, in my naivete and in my absolute ignorance and adorableness, I guess, I didn't want to throw the damn thing out. I remember my mom just told me to throw it out, and I didn't want to because that could offend the Santas, basically. So I was going to eat it. I was going to eat the potato, but it was still raw. And I remember she kind of made me throw the thing out, and I was really sad and kind of scared. Like, I'm sorry, Santa. I used to pray. Oh my god, I used to pray. Like, oh fuck, not to Jesus, but to Santa, to the Santas, to the Yule Lads. And I think that's not an uncommon thing to have done. Like, that's not an uncommon trait in children here. Like, pray right before you go to sleep. You pray to the Santas.
I also believe, doesn't like raw potato give you like food poisoning?
Yeah, so, where was I?
The potato. The potato.
The potato, yeah.
The burden you swore to bear.
Yeah, the burden I swore. I mean, I started to eat it, but my mom was just like, no, that's gross, throw it out. And like, I don't know, man.
I mean, she had sound logic. Yeah, eating raw potato isn't exactly the height of culinary refinement, is it?
Most other potatoes that I got were like just normal sized potatoes. They were all baked. Not a baked potato, but they were already like boiled, but they were just cold. You know, so like it's like obviously they had just taken a potato from the dinner before, right? And it wasn't like peeled. It wasn't peeled or anything. Most of the potatoes were like already cooked, unpeeled regular potatoes. So yeah. Slim actually brings up a great point here. In some fictions, Odin is Santa Claus, and that's actually a good point, because Odin is there's a lot of correlation there between there. Like, for example, if you've seen, and I know how it sounds, but if you've seen the Christmas Carol, the 2009 one, the one with Jim Carrey, the CG one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Remember the second spirit, the spirits of Christmas present. There was kind of like Santa Claus-esque, but he had an empty scabbard and like he was big. He was kind of Viking-esque, but it was kind of Santa Claus looking. Imagine just like a Santa Claus, but he was a Viking. A Viking turned into like a fun uncle or something, you know. Like that's kind of like the vibe that I got off him, and I liked it. I really did. Like, I loved that film. I really loved that film. I just watched it for the first time last Christmas, actually. And not gonna lie, that shit brought me to tears. I don't know, maybe I wasn't particularly vulnerable, but that shit actually brought me to tears. And I don't know, that's kind of like, I don't know why I brought that up, but yeah, Santa Claus and Odin, like Vikings and the spirit of Christmas, it kind of like clashed for a big and good fucking reason. You've probably heard this before. Christmas is a pagan holiday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's actually kind of a misnomer, but you know, maybe we'll get into that later. Also, remember what I told you about paganism? No, it's not pagan. It's heathen. Stop saying pagan. Fuck. I need to not commission, but like convert? No, deconstruct myself in that manner. Like I'm telling the world to change and be different, and to break down built traditions and walls, in the sense of like, please stop using the word pagan in that way and heathen in that way. And I need to learn to do that myself.
But it's funny you should bring that up. So I just looked at the two dictionary definitions, and they're basically the same in widely held, like, modern use.
Yeah.
Which of course you're talking like about like the old like proper use.
Yeah.
The pagan is described as a person holding religious beliefs other than those of the main or recognized religions.
Right.
Okay, so that's pagan. And the heathen, supposedly, is a person who does not belong to a widely held religion.
Yeah, a heathen is just a non-religious person, and a pagan is a religious person, but not in one of the big religions. That's the modern definition of them, and that's exactly the one that I want to break. And like I said, in the first episode of the podcast, that's what I talked about extensively. So, you know, to recap, Norse mythology, the real name is Asatru, and the followers of Asatru are heathens. So, just like you have Islam and Muslims, and you have Christians and Christianity, you have Judaism and Jews, you have Asatru and heathens. Take back those words. Thank you. I would like to do that. So, I think I have covered pretty much everything there is to cover about the Icelandic folklore surrounding Christmas. There might be something that I'm missing. Of course, I did mention that there is a certain thing that we do during the Christmas Eve day, like the 24th. Actually, you know what? Fuck it, I could go on.
Yeah, I'm game.
Alright. So, the 24th. Let's start with the 23rd. Like I said, that's called Þorláksmessa. And Messa is a mass, like going to church. And Þorlákur is the name, Þorláksmessa, the mass of Þorlák. That's kind of what it means, but I should probably write it down. I'm gonna write it down. Scheiße. Sorry. Þorláksmessa. Oh, a little Icelandic tip. This letter and this letter. These letters. This is the capital and like small one. These are two letters down there. That's the capital one, and then there's a smaller one, and that's the same on. So these two letters are capital. These two are not, right? And they are pronounced as TH, but they're both pronounced as TH in English. However,
so are either of those used in the Icelandic version? Well, like the original version, not Icelandic version of 4.
They are used both. So you would pronounce it as TH, but why do we have two letters then if it's pronounced TH? Because one of them, this one, is pronounced as a harder or harsher TH, whereas this one is pronounced as a more of a softer TH. And what that sounds is, I don't even know if the mic picked it up. So Þorláksmessa,
Yeah, so it's almost like with English where you have like that and there. It's like TH.
That, yeah, like that and there. That's like probably how you would say that.
Yeah, I see that. It's like you got that fa, then you got that H to bring that out into a that.
Yeah, that. So the upper one with the weird P-looking thing, that's a more harsher, and the second one, the D with a thing in the middle, that's more softer. Anyway, so Þorláksmessa. Not that any of you would ever need to know this, but also Ronnie, you did bring up a good point. Odin, like you would say Odin, but there's no D. It's an eth or a the, so it's Odin, and the O is actually with a comma, because our uncommened O's, these circles are pronounced as O, just O.
So as a side thing, how is your keyboard mapped out? Do you is this how are you getting the accent letters? Because I'm guessing you have it to a shorter keybind.
No, it's the same. It's the same QWERTY keyboard, but it's like the letter right next to the shift button, the big shift button on the right. That's this. I don't know what it is in the. I mean, of course, I can configure it into the English, and anyone can do this. Anyone can configure their keyboard. I don't remember what the command is for that, but that's because I'm computer illiterate. But
I assumed it. No, I was assuming it was a keybind, a bit like when you hold shift for capitals, not separate keys.
No, it isn't. It's just literally here. There's no keybind needed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, like Ronnie, the phonetic link between Odin and Oath. Yeah, so oath in Icelandic is called Eiður. Eiður. Or you would bend it to an eighth. But So like you say Odin, but there's no D. It's an eth, right? And like I say, the O in Icelandic is with a comma. That's literally what it sounds like. O. But the O, regular O without the comma, it's just called O, like ormur and ovan and or.
So was there like any? Was it like purely just linguistically similar, or like when you have an oath?
When you have an oath, I don't know. There might be. I'm not a linguist. I'm not a linguist. So there's probably a link from the Germanic languages into the word oath. Like I said, the Icelandic and the Norse word would be either, and that's. Actually,
I was wondering.
Yeah.
I was wondering if it was almost a bit like with goodbye. Do you know the sort of root of goodbye?
Goodbye. I mean, now in modern day Icelandic we would just say bless or bye.
I know. I more meant the English root of the word goodbye used to basically be God be with you.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, that's probably older.
So I was wondering.
That's probably. Either older than Norse, or it's most likely. What I find most likely, it's a Saxon word. It's derived from Saxon, because that has a lot of correspondence with some of the modern day English. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked here. that's good. That's fine. Actually, no. A little side point here, while we're talking about like these little things. The word you're probably familiar with this word. Draugur.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as we're talking about a lot of in the previous episode, we sort of talked about how a lot of stuff sort of gets warped through various media, and Draugur has of course become very, very popular because of Skyrim.
Yeah. Because of Skyrim, and a lot of these games and media, be it books or games or fantasy worlds or themes, are taking liberties with certain things, which is fine. What probably
So sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but
no, that's fine.
So in like Icelandic folklore, what exactly is a Draugur?
What is it to you? What do you think a Draugur means?
For me, before like Skyrim, it was almost like restless dead who had basically the dead who have risen, but they died due to succumbing to the cold.
Okay. And
of course, a lot of my stuff will be from various, for the most part, like fantasy games and books, rather than any actual like roots in folklore.
Right. And that's not entirely untrue. What most people would think of when they hear Draugur is just kind of like zombie-esque. It's just more romanticized, quote, restless dead. Yeah, Ronnie brings up a great point here. Joking, rolking, talking. J.R.R. Tolkien.
Man himself.
Yeah, the legend, the man, the myth, the legend, J.R.R. Tolkien is an absolute master. Like, he knew Icelandic. I don't know if I bring this up all the time, but he actually learned Icelandic. So he had, like, an Icelandic nanny for his children. And
oh wow, I did not realize that.
Yeah, he did spend a lot of time here. He learned Icelandic, and he got a lot of inspiration from Icelandic. And not just Icelandic, but also, like, general Western European, Northern European, Scandinavian, but also specifically Icelandic stories.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me in the slightest. With like, because he loved languages, and he made his own as a hobby. So it's not surprising that he would have influence from various Icelandic sources.
Yeah.
It's also like of course, like Frál. So what is like Frál that close to the Icelandic sort of word?
I don't.
So I'm guessing it's going to be the English sort of warped version thrall. Of course, thrall used to be slave, and then that got associated with like, some types of undead.
I don't know what you're talking about. Thrall. Can you spell that?
Yeah, so it's THRALL.
Okay, I need to.
So a thrall.
TH. What?
RALL.
Oh.
Yeah, because of course that was like a word associated with like the Viking sort of like slave. It also was like has been associated to like to be enthralled is to be like underneath somebody's like influence. Like it's not even magic to say somebody's like enthralled. It means like yeah, this person has like a good grip over them. Like in like manipulation as well as being like vampires are associated with like having thralls with their like whole magic and everything.
Yeah, so that actually okay. So we will go back to that. First, I want to touch on the Draugur. So what most people probably think about when they hear Draugur is some kind of zombie, right? Or like I said, restless undead, which is more fantasy way of saying a zombie. Now, what it means in modern day Icelandic is literally a ghost. It means ghost, and that is all it means. However, in Old Norse, yes, it does mean ghost, but it could also mean one who comes back. It means.
I suppose it's a bit like with ghast. Ghast is like almost like treated as a separate thing in the English language now, and like
But it's technically all the same thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah, ghast is just German for ghost.
Yeah, I mean that's we give these words different meaning where we probably should not, unless you have a specific thing. Like I said, Draugur is a ghost. That's literally a ghost. But you could also say vofa or uppvatningur. No, that's a zombie. Or afturganga, which means back walking, literally. You have a bunch of words in Icelandic and words in Old Norse that correspond to the same damn thing. Because, after all, it's a dead thing that's not so dead anymore. And it's usually a bad thing.
So were the undead much of an aspect of, like, Icelandic mythology?
Mythology?
I was hoping you ignored that.
Cut that, bitch. In Asatru we have some spirits, but I'll be honest, because honesty is always great. I'm not too familiar with ghosts that's something I will touch on later, Ronnie. What was I talking about?
I don't know, tangents are addictive.
Yeah. Undead in Icelandic myth. I'm not too familiar with any great stories of undead in Asatru, but in Icelandic, so of course there's the Icelandic folklore, and then there's the Asatru, which is Norse mythology. Norse mythology or Asatru isn't. I'm not too familiar with any undead there. There are undead, but that's few and far between. In Icelandic myth, that's an entirely different thing. We have a bunch of ghost stories here. So Draugur, that's kind of what it means. Draugur is just a ghost. And before I was going to circle back to a thing after talking about Draugur. What was that?
I sort of. I think we went on a bit of tangent after thrall.
Yes, thrall. Yes. Okay. So that was the original meaning. Thrall. Yes, it is a slave. So you say thrall, but the actual word is thræll. and we still use that today. Not slaves, but the word.
So what is it associated with today then, that word?
That word. Which one? Thræll.
Yeah.
Slave. That's what it means.
Oh, okay.
And that's, like I said, Old Norse is just Icelandic in a trench coat. Not even a good trench coat. It's just a very shoddy trench coat. So yeah, we still use that word today, and it means the literal same thing. It's just a thræll. It's just a slave. And that's it. That is what it is. So, sorry.
No, I was going to say, like, as a to slap another tangent on here, whilst we're quite lost.
Yeah.
I do love the origins behind like words and phrases.
Mm-hmm.
As like, for example, one I learned a couple of months ago from a friend at work, because we talk about this a lot, is to be under the thumb. Are you familiar with that phrase?
Under the thumb.
To be under somebody's thumb.
Ah, yeah, to be under somebody's thumb. Yeah.
Yeah, it's to say this person has control over you.
Yeah.
I found out recently that that's from like eagle handling.
Oh.
Hawk handling. Because basically what it was is you'd have like basically a small bit of string tied around the basically ankle of this bird of prey you would be training.
Mm-hmm.
And to control it, you would have this bit of string underneath your thumb.
Oh.
So yeah, literally to be underneath your thumb was the bird could not escape you because its bind is underneath your thumb.
That is very interesting. There's more, like, there are countless instances of like phrases and stuff like that that derive from actual things, which I absolutely love. I did not know this. Very interesting. Actually, have you ever held like a hawk or like a falcon or something?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, me neither. But I've heard that like their grip strength alone with their claws is so.
I imagine it's scary.
Yeah, like eagles and shit. It's. There's a reason why you have to wear those big, thick leather gloves, right? Because like
the only thing I've had, which I feel like could be vaguely similar, was for some reason this was at a water park. But they're like, hey, do you want to have this big snake draped over your shoulders? Yeah, I don't know why they had this big... I can't remember what snake it was, but it was like, these like meter or longer snakes, which are like...
bro.
Yeah, like 2 inches thick or bigger.
Awesome.
And it was just like... Because they like coiled it, not like fully round, like draped it so it was like a loop around my neck. And then it just like moved slightly, and it's like... Just this like thing of like, I know it's not going to do anything, but it was like, as it moved, it's like oh no. And I can imagine that with a bird of prey, like even when you got this like meaty leather gauntlet on, I imagine when it sort of perches on you, that you'd feel that grip.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, not that I've ever had one. I don't think I've ever actually held one myself, but I've just from people I've heard from first-hand experience. Yeah, I mean, I get why people are afraid of snakes, like some phobias and shit. Like, phobias are irrational by definition. But, like, I'm just reasonably afraid of snakes. Like, we don't really have snakes here. In fact, we don't really have anything here. But, if I were to go to, like, an animal handler and he has, like, this massive snake, I would fucking love to have it around me and pet it and stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, some snakes are just ugly, right? But some snakes are really cool. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see, especially when you're comfortable with a snake, it'd be like a nice sensation, sort of like a reassuring weight sort of thing. A bit like when you have a cat in your lap. It's like that sort of pressure.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know, snakes are... Some snakes, like, especially like the smaller ones, they're really cute. They're adorable. Little snake. Little slithering snake. Oh, God.
Yeah, I think probably the main problem with snakes, and why they're scary, is you don't really spot a snake. They're very well hidden, so it's like... when you see a snake, it's at your feet sort of thing.
Right.
Because we have snakes in the UK, and I grew up in a village, like countryside.
Ooh.
I've never seen a snake. Not in the wild.
I remember one time when I went to Spain, I was in some fringes of Benidorm, and I was in some, bumfuck nowhere in a neighborhood, like way outside the city. And I remember I was trying to walk back to my hotel, and it was pitch black outside. It was just darkness, and I didn't see anyone. But I did hear a lot of snakes, and that scared me shitless.
I think that's worse than seeing the snake, isn't it?
Yeah, I heard so many snakes in the bushes, right like beside the road, and it just, how do people live in a country where how do people live in a country where the flies can kill you? Like, why would you ever want to live in a place where like the weather wants to kill you? Like, I mean, I come from Iceland. Yeah, the wind kind of is trying its best, but it usually never succeeds. But other than that, it's we don't really have the creepy crawlies. We don't our biggest spiders are like 2 centimeters across. That's nothing. Still plenty for me, but I have arachnophobia. But we don't really cockroaches, huge rats, and like mosquitoes. We don't have any of that. Like,
well, yeah, of course. The only problematic thing you would have had, a bit like in Britain, would have been wolves, but then they just got hunted to extinction.
yeah, we don't have any. I don't think we've actually ever had any wolves at all.
So I know wolves and ravens play a big part in some forms of Norse mythology.
But I mean, Iceland isn't the only Norse country. Or Nordic country. Sorry, Norse is the language. Nordic is the placement. Scandinavian Nordic.
It's very much like Celtic. Okay, like Gaelic. It's like quite vague, really.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you know. Like, I think part of what played into part of certain aspects of Norse mythology.
Also true.
Sorry.
No, I'm decommissioning. The conditioning. That's the word. Conditioning. I'm deconditioning. Educating. Yeah. So whenever you say Norse mythology, say also true.
So I think part of what, some aspect of what happened with Alsadru is, I don't know if you know, but ravens and wolves actually interact with each other in the wild.
In the wild, in the real world. Like here. Oh, shit.
Yeah, like ravens, because ravens scavenge.
Right.
And they like to get to the guts of things, don't they?
Yeah.
Basically, they like the leftovers wolves leave, because the wolves have their fill of whatever they've been hunting, and ravens like to pick up the last bits. Wolves don't really care. But no, there's even instances of ravens can sort of bond with wolf pups, and they sort of play with them.
Oh shit! Awesome. Ravens usually go for the eyes and the tongues and the fleshy bits that wolves usually leave behind, and fingers and shit. But also crows. There's a lot of crows. There's a big difference. There is a difference between ravens and crows. A lot of people don't know them, but there is a difference. But yeah, ravens are absolutely ravens, they mate for life. That's why you always see 2 of them everywhere. If you see a single raven, that's usually because either that raven has not yet found a partner, or that raven's partner has died. Because usually you will see at least 2 ravens, usually more, because they never they like to travel in flocks, in murders of crows. No, that's murder of crows, but in flocks.
Because isn't Odin associate or Odin?
Yep. You don't have to say the way we say it. Like I said,
no, I'm also interested in trying to get into the rhythm of it.
Yeah.
But he's associated with 2 ravens, isn't he?
Yeah. And I will get all into that on my next episode. So the 3rd episode will be about the creation. every religion, every big religion, has some form of creation. Of course, that's including also true. And I will get into that in the next episode, like the real meat and bones of the religion itself. And then later on, I will get into like all kinds of different stories, like the Valkyries, the Einherjar, the Ravens of Odin, why he only has one eye, the different pranks that Loki's been pulling, all of the stories, all of the shit, I will get into that. So yeah, I think we have gone a bit. Oh, now I remember Christmas. That was the
We did tangent into tangent.
Yeah, we did. Shit. I am going to finish because I can always edit this. I can always just like mix and mash these things together, so none will be wiser. If we just pick up where we left off. Real quick though, because this is getting a bit long. I mean, I could go on, but I'm fairly certain most of you guys are getting pretty bored.
I mean, I've been fueling the tangents, so...
Okay, maybe not you, but maybe the audience.
Yeah, they're probably a bit lost after a certain amount of time.
Yeah. Right, so let's go real quick over the actual Christmas of Iceland. So the 23rd is called Þorláksmessa. Again, Messa is mass and Þorlákur is a name. So it is like historically it is for remembering a bishop, the holy Þorlákur Þórhallsson. And he died 23rd of December, and this holiday is in his honor. So why is that important, and who the hell is that guy? Pope Johannes Paul the second. So Johannes Paul, I guess, the second, which is incidentally the same name as me. His name is the same as my actual name, Johannes. Don't worry about that. I don't care. The world can know, So yeah. So the Pope, the second, Johannes Paul the second, gave Þorlákur a certain status as a protector saint of Iceland. In 1984, although he died Þorlákur died in 1100 something, Google that real quick. 1193, yeah. So he is now, and to this day, the only saint in Catholicism, the only Icelandic saint in Catholicism who has gotten a recognition from the Pope. We do have a few saints here, but none of them. Some of them are in Protestant, and the others, I think we have some other Catholic saints. I don't know, but if we do, they're not recognized by the Pope. This one is the only one who's recognized by the Pope. But why though? Why is he so damn important? See, the thing is, I don't know. I don't know. I know nothing about this guy, and we're not as far as I can tell, we're not really taught about specifically this guy or anything. We just know about the day, the 23rd of December, and on that day, we decorate the Christmas tree in our houses on that day, and we finish with house decoration. So you can decorate your house before Christmas, but you're supposed to be finishing it up on the 23rd, and then you do the Christmas tree, traditionally anyway. And couple that with the fact that we eat what was it called? The thing that killed Steve Irwin.
Stingray?
Stingray. Yes, we eat stingray.
I was very surprised that stingray was like a tradition. That was like a curveball to me.
Yeah.
I did not expect that.
It's a staple of Icelandic cuisine. I hate it. It smells bad and it tastes actually doesn't taste too bad, but it smells fucking awful. And I hate it, but a lot of people like it, and that's fine. We have stingrays, sharks, and fish, and all that stuff. All that good stuff.
So is stingray fairly common over there then?
Yeah.
In terms of cuisine?
Yeah, I mean, no, not on a daily basis. But, I mean, maybe for the older generation, maybe if there's a specific birthday coming up or something, you might have a stingray, but by and large, especially now in modern day Iceland with like the young generation, not really, no, but we eat them from time to time. And it's not just any stingray, like, I mean the species, I don't know if it's like specifically one species of stingray, but there's a way that we prepare the fish, like prepare the dish, because it's not just a stingray, it's fermented stingray, because everything has to be fucking fermented here. So it's like a stew. It's like a stew of stingray. I don't like it.
No, I didn't know if it was going to be a bit like, because for some reason it's more so Americans. There's jellied eel and eel pie in England.
Oh Jesus, that sounds fucking awful. I'm sorry, man.
I've never met anybody that's ever had it.
Oh, Jesus.
But then some people seem to think it's like a staple over here. It's like, no.
See, I don't want people thinking that something is like, oh, it is a staple of cuisine here. Like, oh, this is the height of civilization in the culinary world. No, it isn't. Like, we eat a lot of random exotic things to you, I guess, but I mean, some of us actually like it, others don't. But it is here and it's ingrained into our culture. But that's kind of it. Eel. I don't even think I've tried eel at all. It's not the electric type, is it?
No, British rivers.
British rivers.
Rivers.
Yeah.
It's like 18% free food, so that kind of tells you, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the 23rd. 24th is the main day. 24th is like the main Christmas day. Like, even though the 25th is literally called Christmas Day, that's the name of it, but the 24th is called Aðfangadagur. So 25th is Jólakötturinn, 24th is Aðfangadagur, which is like the eve of the 25th. Basically, it's the prep day, right? That's the name, but what we associate that with is Christmas itself. Christmas starts at 6 o'clock on the 24th, and there's a specific kind of tradition, I guess, on the 24th. So how we usually do it, and this, bear in mind that this is it all varies, like it all depends. Some of these will not apply to all Icelandic families, and other Icelandic families might even have some other traditions or some other things extra, right? But by and large, this is like the general sense of things, and it's not just my family, and I'm not just talking about my personal experience, but that too, but it is as a whole, like a lot of people I know do this, so this is a tradition. So the 24th, the day generally starts, so we have this thing called the Jólakötturinn, which means the Christmas or Yule, like it's kind of like porridge, kind of like pudding. So we have grjónagrautur, which is rice pudding or rice porridge, which is one of my favorite dishes in the world. And that's usually eaten with like milk and cinnamon sugar and stuff. But the Yule pudding is that, but it's better. Like it's been like extra. They have like, I don't know, vanilla or some sugar or something. I'm not familiar with how they make it, but it's great. No, my mom makes the greatest Christmas pudding in the world.
So over here in the UK, we have a traditional Christmas pudding.
Yeah.
Which we just named Christmas pudding.
Right, here too. This is called the Christmas pudding.
Oh, well, so is that? Do you have like the same sort of stuff we have? It's like, I think it's sometimes called like plum pudding or like raisin pudding. It's like a dried sort of almost like fruit loaf sort of thing.
No, it's more like I said, it's more consistency of porridge, and it's like rice. Like that's the staple. That is the main the main ingredient, I guess. So yeah, this Christmas pudding, it's that is eaten on Christmas Day. Some will have it on the 23rd, but you know it's most common to eat it on the 24th, and it is usually lunch or brunch, kind of, I guess. You can have it during dinner, but at least the way that I've done it, and I think most are familiar with, you eat that at lunch. And I fucking love that pudding. I love that thing so much. So we have a game surrounding it. So you have a what do you call? Let me Google that real quick. Sorry.
Just as a side note, with the Christmas pudding we have, just while you're looking it up, like one of the things we do with Christmas pudding isn't like a flavour thing or anything, but like what a traditional thing to do is to put either heated up like bourbon or like whiskey or like something similar over the Christmas pudding, and then you set it on fire.
Oh.
So it just like lights the whole thing up, and it's like it's almost like putting candles in a cake sort of thing.
Oh. That sounds amazing. I want to try
it. It looks nice.
Yeah, I bet it does. It doesn't burn the pudding at all?
No. I mean, it's just alcohol, so it basically just burns the alcohol and then that's it.
Oh shit. Awesome. Yeah, no, we don't do that here. Christmas pudding is basically, it's a better version of rice pudding, which is an Icelandic thing. And on the 24th during lunch, the family sits down at a table with pudding, and the pudding is cold. It is not hot at all. It has been staying in the fridge overnight. One of the bowls will contain a almond or a daisy or like, not a daisy, but like what do you call it, like a dried raisin or something like that. Anything to indicate that it's different. And that's put in one of the bowls of pudding, and then the bowls are mixed up, and nobody knows who has the almond. And the one that gets the almond, he or she gets an early present, an early Christmas present. So usually a parent or an older sibling will have bought the present beforehand and wrapped it up, and it just sits on the table, or you know, it's there. And while we are eating the pudding and then figuring out who gets the almond, yeah, that's fun.
So that's kind of interesting because just like again, we have our Christmas pudding, But we also had a hidden thing.
Oh.
It used to be a silver sixpence, or nowadays it'd probably just be a pound coin. And it was basically like if you found it, it was like a good luck charm sort of thing for the next year.
Ooh.
So is there any association with like sort of luck or anything, or is it just a present game?
Nah, it's just a present game. At least the way I'm familiar with it. There's no really. I mean, it is suspicious if the same member of the family always wins every year in a row. That might be associated with a little bit of luck or cheating. But yeah, no. Other than that, there's no like inherent like, oh, you must be lucky or something. That's super interesting though. That like both of our cultures have a version of a hidden thing in a pudding during Christmas. Huh. So that's interesting. The pudding is usually, you can eat it just as is, but we sometimes have like chocolate syrup or extra cream or even like berries, like canned berries are usually very good, or fresh berries like strawberries or something. And yeah, so after the pudding, it's a bit of a cool down period. Sometime during the day, though, it is accustomed to go to the graveyard, the cemetery, to visit dead, like grandparents or like family members in general. It is the thing here to go to the graveyard, go to the cemetery, and visit the dead on the 24th. A little known fact. Now this might just be my dad trolling, but I'm fairly certain this is a thing. At least worth mentioning that the 24th, as far as I know, technically you are allowed to drive on the curb, like on the sidewalk, if the traffic is packed up, and if you don't drive like a maniac, you are allowed to use the sidewalk as a driving street. So that's something on the 24th. Or that might have just been my dad trolling me, but I mean, I've heard it from at least like 3 other sources as well. So
I wouldn't be surprised if it was almost like an unwritten rule, due to, of course, people. I'm guessing people like visiting people.
Yeah.
So like certain residential streets might be far busier than normal.
That seems much more likely that it's like an unwritten culture rule than an actual law. So yeah, that's the thing. So after the graveyard, I feel like graveyard is more. The term graveyard is a bit more.
Sounds much more utilitarian than cemetery, doesn't it?
Maybe not utilitarian, but more grim, I guess.
Yeah, it's much more blunt, I suppose.
Yeah. But cemetery is more like respectful. Graveyard is more like, Halloween kind of shit. Anyway, after that, there's again a bit of downtime, and during like later in the day, there's mass in church, the Christmas mass, like the Christ mass, basically, and that is like I say. So I am a heathen. I follow House of True, but at the same time I go to Mass during Christmas specifically. Why do I do that? Because not only is it nice, I like it, but also because it is a tradition. So there are some religious elements in tradition in Iceland. At least it's not just Icelandic thing, but it's like I do a lot of things, a lot of religious-esque things, for cultural reasons and traditional reasons more than for the religious reasons. Like, I celebrate Easter not because of Christianity, but because of Iceland. it's an Icelandic thing rather than a Christian thing in a lot of our minds here. The same goes with like celebrating Christmas at all. Like overall, I should have no part in Christmas, but I still partake in it because of an Icelandic tradition rather than the religion of it. And the same thing goes for going to Christ Mass, Christmas, the Mass of Christmas.
So as a side note, were either of your parents or family members, like any of your family members, heathen or Christian?
Not particular. My dad is a Catholic. They're both alive. So my dad is a Catholic. My mom is a Protestant, but neither of them are religious. I mean, Iceland as a whole isn't very religious. I think I mentioned that in the first episode. We're officially Protestant, but like more like we don't think about religion on the daily. Like sometimes we go to mass if like we have funerals, we have weddings, we have all these things, and christening, right? For the name thing, right? That's the thing.
Yeah, that was the same for myself. Is not so sure on my father's side, but on my mother's side, my grandmother is Christian, and she goes to church every Sunday. And
Right.
I was christened, but neither of my parents are religious. It's, as you say, it's like a cultural thing as much as it is a religious thing.
Yeah, like I mean, I intend to christen my children, even though they're not. Like I would, if I ever get married, I want to get married through the Viking tradition. So I wouldn't be in a church, but I would still attend church-related events, And like I'm christened, I was christened, and we call that basically. So like the way it works here is like the priest or like the religious figure has the authority to do everything. So basically, like I always thought like when you wed someone at the wedding, the whole ritual is more of a ritual thing than the actual legality of it comes later. Like you sign the papers and everything, that comes like later. But at least the way it works here is that the priest, he actually just sends a form, one letter form, today it's just online, to the government saying that now you and X are together in legally binding holy matrimony. So like, and that same thing goes for like naming. Like so when I say christening, that is literally the way we name our kids. Like for example, my sister just had a child like a month ago, and maybe not a month, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she's an adorable little thing, and I love her to death. And she doesn't have a name yet, like because like the system recognizes her as like you would just say John Doe or Jane Doe. Yeah, that's what the system recognizes her as right now. Jane Doe, offspring of X and Y. But until we christen her, or they christen her, when they do that, she will get her name. And usually you don't actually tell people the name until during that. Like I don't know what she's gonna be named, not until the christening. And that's actually what I've always like wondered, like when I see like in movies like older people doing the thing, like getting a baptism, basically. That's the thing. That's the word I was looking for. I kept saying christening, but that's the word I was really talking about. Baptism.
I do believe those are two different things, because I've been christened,
right?
But it wasn't ever described as a baptism. And for us over here in the UK, it was you received your name at the hospital. Like here pops out little Johnny, and that was at the hospital. And then you had the christening afterwards, like sometime afterwards.
Yeah, I mean the hospital gives you basically a dead name, like Jane Doe, John Doe, until you officially receive your name, at least here. And because the way in baptism, the way that whole thing is with the water and shit, that's a thing here. During christening, you have to have a specific holy water dropped on your forehead, right? And the priest goes, in the name of the Holy Spirit, the Father and in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, I christen the name. And with the water, he touches the child on the forehead with the holy water, and that is a christening or a baptism. I thought it was a baptism. Apparently, what the fuck is baptism then?
I just looked it up. Baptism versus christening in the UK, and for ourselves over here, it's basically interchangeable for us.
Yeah, exactly. So every time I saw a movie or something where older people got baptized, I was always like, what? But they already have a name. But isn't that the thing though? For example, in the show Vikings, where spoiler alert, trying to give them a little time. Alright, okay. So spoiler alert, when Frollo gets baptized, I thought that's stupid. That's just converting. You're converting. That doesn't mean you have to get baptized. But he then gets a Christian name. So technically, that was a christening. And the baptism is the same thing, right?
Yeah, I believe basically the idea is that a christening or baptism is sort of like your formal induction into the Christian faith.
Right.
So it obviously for a children who's being born into the Christian faith, they receive that at birth. But as the case you say then, it is for people who are an adult from another religion moving into Christianity, it is like a conversion because they were born into something else.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if there might in some countries. Maybe there's a maybe one's more associated with Protestantism and one's more associated with Catholic faith. Maybe.
And in the language.
I could see that being a thing.
Probably. It might be. Yeah, actually, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So technically you can get an actual name here without being christened. It's the same way you can get married without doing it in the church. It's just the boring way, the civilian way, I guess. It's called the civil way in Iceland because you're not a child of God. You're just a civilian. That's a weird way of phrasing it, but that's how it translates into Icelandic.
No, yeah, it's sort of the same thing over here. There's the difference between, of course, both are legally binding, but the people who pursue it more so.
Yeah.
More just as a legal bind.
Yeah. And you do it with at the office, like the office of the governing whatever legal legislator or something. And whereas in religion, the religious figure would just send a letter.
Because there's a separation of it as well. Because as you say, with marriage and everything, it's I was christened despite the fact that my parents never married.
Right. I mean, yeah, you can do that, of course. That has nothing to do with your you are a separate entity from your parents. Your parents not being married, that doesn't matter at all, right? For you to be christened or baptized. Honestly, today is the first time I've ever used the word christened to this extent, or even at all, because I've always just called it baptized when speaking English.
I would say, for the most part in my life, I've generally heard it as being christened. So, as I said, I think it is sort of it might be a language preference. Of course, over here, we had the Church of England, which was a Protestant church. So for the most part, we're Protestant, and you don't really hear too much of Catholic sort of faith over here for the most part.
The same here. Like, we have one Catholic church. Initial response says he was baptized as a Lutheran. Yes, as a Protestant Lutheran. Yeah, but you still use the word baptized instead of christened. Huh. Are you American? You're retarded. Okay. You misspelled that, but yeah, that kind of just drives home the point, though, doesn't it? Great.
You know, the local dialect or something, maybe.
This is going on YouTube, my guy. I just hope you're okay with that.
So, slight tangent that just there. What is, just as a random thing, what is the common name in Iceland? Is there one?
John.
Oh, just John as well. Okay.
Yeah, Jón. J, Icelandic O with a comma and N. Yeah, John with the O over it though. But I mean, or maybe Sigurður, Siggi or something. I don't know. But that's like the joke though, John, because there's like 1,000 Johns here. But anyway, so Christians. What were we talking about? Baptized Christians. Something.
We were talking about the graveyard trip.
Graveyard trip.
We're talking about more like it's. Oh. Yeah. I say graveyard, but we did agree that cemetery sounds far better.
So, yeah, I like to be a little bit blunt, so I usually say graveyard. And if people take offense to that, I just play the stupid foreigner card. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
I can't do that.
Yeah, so there's the Christmas Mass, so the literal Christ Mass. And that is a thing that I do. I do go to church during. I didn't last Christmas, but that's because I'm fucking. I think I was sleeping. I don't remember, but usually I go to church on Christmas because it's nice. You can see, especially for me. Like, I just go back to my hometown where my parents still live. And I see all the people and like all the familiar faces, and there's like one priest there, and I know him very well. And like, I see everybody's dressed up in their finest, fanciest clothes, and I don't know. I just really like the atmosphere there.
So is it sort of a bit like sometimes a bit of a social aspect of when you visit the cemetery? Because I'm guessing you would of course come across families also going there.
Not as much. I mean, yeah, you can, but that's more of a coincidence than anything. Like,
it's not so much as like you'd be like, let's meet, the social thing, but I would imagine, as you say, just due to the circumstance, you'd bump into people when you'd exchange words, and of course you're you're both there with the same.
It's the same dead relative. Yeah. It happens. Yeah, absolutely. It happens. But
there's a sort of like community sort of thing, of course, and you're both sort of there to pay respects for the same reason.
A little less so, at least for me. A little less so. Like, I mean, it happens, but I don't know. It's another thing. That's kind of strange. You would expect to see more people. I mean, I've met like a lot of my aunts and uncles. Because we're visiting like my grandfather or grandmother, but that doesn't happen every time, and it's like I said, that's less so common.
So Initial did post a little thing a few minutes ago about lighting candles. Is that any significance for like your church?
Yeah. So when you visit you bring with you like a tree branch from like a Christmas tree. It doesn't have to be like the name isn't Christmas tree. It's like there's a name for it, but like with the needle thingy. A tree branch usually. Sometimes a ring. You've probably seen that one before. The tree branch Christmas ring is circular. You hang it on the front door.
A wreath.
Wreath?
Yeah.
How do you spell
Christmas
that?
wreath? I believe it's
R-E-E-F,
I believe.
okay. Let's see. R-E-E-F. Christmas.
Oh, sorry. It's W-R-E-A-T-H.
Yeah, Christmas wreath. A wreath. Yeah. Yeah, so we have those on our doors, and when you visit the hallowed grounds, you will carry something with you. Usually it's either a Christmas wreath or just a branch, like a flat branch, or a candle. That's the ones I mentioned before. It's like the fat tuna-looking things with animal fats in them, so it's impossible to blow out. And like the wick itself, it's so thick, like it's impossible to blow out. And so, some of that variety, maybe some lights if you fancy, but you will bring all of these things with you and put to the grave, on the grave itself. That's what you do in the cemetery. So going back home, you go back home, and then you have the mass, and after the mass you go home. There's some downtime, and then there's dinner. And dinner can be anything. Like some people only eat the same thing every Christmas. Some people like to mix it up. We usually mix it up. You have your dinner, that's great, that was amazing, love the dinner. Like I said, some people will then, before dinner, will eat the pudding, but it's more common to eat it at lunch. When the clock strikes 6, then Christmas has officially started, and that's when you say Merry Christmas to each and every member of your family, individually. And yeah, I mean, not really a lot of things happen at 6. That just means the official start of it. You eat your dinner, and after dinner, it's only after dinner where you open the presents. So after dinner on Christmas Eve, you sit down and you open the presents. That can take anywhere from like half an hour to like 4 hours, or even longer if you're, with your immediate family and or friends, and you're just, having fun, right? So the presents, you open the presents. That can take however long you want, and yeah, that's it. That's Christmas Eve. That's Christmas Day, the 24th, for Iceland. There is some, should I say, discourse when it comes to like some people like. No, actually, no. There's no discourse. I completely forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, whereas Americans and other cultures will wake up the next day and then open the presents. I've never understood that. Like, I wouldn't be able to sleep if I knew that when I woke up I would get a lot of presents. I wouldn't be able to sleep then. Like, I mean, today that's different, but I mean, like, as a kid. It's much better in my mind to open it the evening, and then the day after you know exactly what you have, and then you can, mess around with it.
I would say that was sort of the thing when we were younger, was sort of like the Christmas Eve, you go to sleep like really excited, you can't sleep,
Yeah.
you're going to get presents the next morning, and it would be the only day of the year where the kids wake the parents up at like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. Like, it doesn't seem like a good system at all to me.
I imagine the parents appreciate the Icelandic system quite a bit more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's no question about that. It's great. It's really great. Actually, one thing I forgot to mention: the 23rd, the Þorláksmessa, when you're supposed to, finish up decorating your house, and then you decorate the tree, the Christmas tree, on the 23rd. That's also the day where you put all the presents under the tree. So there's the presents are under the tree on the 4th and on the 24th, and after dinner you open them. And yeah, that's kind of what it is. The 25th, it's called Christmas Day. That's the name of it in English and Icelandic. And then the 26th is called Annar Jólum, which basically means the second day of Christmas, the second of Christmas. And I mean, yeah, those 3 to 4 days are red days. Like I mentioned before, red days are just off days. They're holidays, recognized holidays. And yeah, then between Christmas and New Year's, nothing changes. You go to work or whatever, and you blow some fireworks. That's fun and stuff. Yeah, so that's Icelandic Christmas, and it has been right. In a few seconds, it will have been 3 hours of this topic.
Those tangents do pad it out.
I hope you guys liked it, and so for now, I'm gonna say goodbye and thank you for tuning in. And yeah, with that, I will say goodbye.